Hello there, always thinking, Nicole. First thing I want to say is anybody that has not seen the new series Westworld on HBO, there are 3 episodes so far. I suggest that you watch those first before you watch this, because there's going to be spoilers, I think. And second thing I want to say is I'm back to not sleeping again, so I hope I make this as coherent as possible. Get the stuff that's in my head out. So, on those two things, oh, and the third thing I wanted to say was, for my subscribers, people that watch me regularly, I'm sure you've already picked up on this. I think about lots of stuff. I do not get stuck on one thought, one theory, and I have a tendency to just say whatever's on my mind. That's one of the reasons why I miss my kids so much, because they were very much like me, and we could sit for hours and bounce ideas off each other and talk about some pretty weird stuff. So now I guess I'm doing that to you guys, except that's why I like it when you guys give me comments, because then I get the feedback, your ideas, and we can bounce ideas off each other. Okay, so anyways, I wanted to talk about Westworld because last night, I think it comes out on Saturdays, but I watched it last night. And I really, really started thinking about some things, and then this idea popped in my head, which I'll get to in the end. A couple things that I noticed while I was watching it. I'm trying to. I hate this. As soon as I sit down right here, everything that I was thinking about suddenly gets stage fright, and I can't think. I found it very, very interesting that, number one, the artificial intelligence or the robots, I'm not sure. I mean, it's obvious that they're AIs. They're not human. But I find it a little bit interesting that they are the ones that seem to be, they're nicer than the humans. The humans are actually quite mean. It's really quite cruel. I mean, I suppose that's pretty nice of them that they erase all those horrific memories that they're going through every day, over and over and over. And another thing that I thought was, I started comparing the stuff that we talk about, that the us affected talk about, that we have gone through and have experienced. And I was making comparisons, and it was, then that's when my brain started going, scratching my head and thinking a little bit. Another thing that I thought of, and I'm bringing this up because it kind of backs up what I'm saying. Dolores Cannon, she talks about parallel universes, and she's also talked about backdrop people. I think that's what she calls them. And I've encountered those. What that is I'm not sure if she really means that they're not real people. But if you ever come across somebody that you talk to, let's say you talk to somebody about the Mandela effect, and because I've encountered this a couple times, or some far-fetched idea that doesn't go with the norm, and they kind of look at you blank, like, and then all of a sudden, like that, they suddenly, I saw in another video, they described it as like they got reprogrammed so they could understand what you're talking about, or they could get the correct response. And they're like backdrop people. They don't seem, I don't want to say real, but it's kind of hard to explain. I guess you'd have to watch maybe her video to get a better explanation. But, then they talk about something similar to that in this series, Westworld. I don't know if they called them backdrop people. I think it might have been something else. They weren't the main characters, but I think they were still the AIs. And then another thing that popped out at me was some of them, their programming, their coding is going haywire, and they're starting to behave irrationally and exhibit some abnormal behavior. The one last night, third one, that jumped out at me was when there was one that he was down in a rock crevice type thing, and he was just sort of clawing, trying to get out, and his fingers were all bleeding, and then he ended up getting out, and it appeared that he was going to attack the human, but instead and like I said, spoiler alert, he ended up bashing his own head with this boulder. The first thing that popped in my head with that was a lot of the really off the wall behavior some people have been exhibiting, like the people running around naked and trying to eat other people, things that have happened over the past couple of years, seemingly normal, rational people suddenly not being right. And there's been a lot of stories, and I'm just picking up that kind of zombie one because that just popped in my head first. And then I came around, all of a sudden a question popped in my head for myself personally. And then I thought, oh, that is a really, really good question. I have to ask you guys because it's a big question. So, my question is this. Let's just say, I'm not saying we are, but this is a really good question. I want to know what your reaction would be. Let's just say, in our current situation, what if we're not human? Okay? I'm not saying that that's true, but I'm curious. What if you were to suddenly find out, and if you've been watching Westworld, you put yourself in, I can't remember her name. I almost want to say, was her name Dolores? Put yourself in her place. You're going about your life and you're doing this and that, and all of a sudden your memories are getting goofy and things are not seeming right. And then all of a sudden, what if you were to find out, you, me, and all of us that are Mandela affected, experiencing these glitches, that we're not the humans? How would that make a difference? I mean, besides the initial shock, how would you feel about that? I mean, seriously, that's what I asked myself last night. I was after watching that, and that popped in my head, and I thought, God, how would I react? If you've evolved, if that did happen, and you evolved enough that um, you were a feeling being, regardless of how you became that way. That's kind of an interesting thought, don't you think? So anyways, that's all I wanted to throw that out there to you guys, because when I asked myself that question, I really, really want to know what you guys all think. So seriously, in comments below, I mean, put yourself in that place. How would that affect you? So, I do feel like I wanted to say one other thing that had to do with that. Oh yeah, that's right. Another thing that led me up to that thought was I kept thinking to myself every time the main character, that I can't remember her name, that she was pulled aside and asked to go into analysis mode or to go into this mode and so on and so forth. And then every night her memory is erased. So every time she goes in and talks to the scientist or any other person that is studying her, and then every time she goes to sleep, that memory is being erased. So she's got these little periods, and they are being erased, but then they're popping up later. And that's what brought me to this question, because, a lot of us have mentioned that we have like little periods we don't remember things perfectly, or we go to sleep and weird stuff's happening in our dreams, and that's what brought me to this question. So, food for thought. Just something I just find it interesting to come up with strange ideas like this and talk about them. Doesn't mean it's real. So, anyways, on that note, I hope that y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.